Oh, hello. Welcome to my garden. Come on, I'll give you a tour. All right, so the first area of the native garden that I recently built is the fire pit. We love this area. My son and I have spent many a nights burning things in the fire pit, but the most recent additions are these stumps. So we had a storm that came through the neighborhood not too long ago, and I found these stumps on the side of the road. So now we have organic seating, as I like to say, around the fire pit. So let's keep going. All right, so want to spend some time in the native garden. If you look way out that way, all of this used to just be lawn as of this spring. And what I did, and if you want to see a video of my process, there's some videos on my channel, I'd encourage you to check them out. But what I did is I tarped this, I killed all the grass, and I selected via research native plants to plant in this portion of the garden. So while this portion of the garden isn't necessarily fruit and vegetable heavy, it's been a really neat thing to see everything blossom, to see the pollinators coming like the bees and the butterflies, as well as the birds that frequent this area. So I'll take you through, take a look at some of those flowers there, and we'll move to the next stop. All right, so the next stop, and I have a grapevine in two areas. I've never grown grapevines before, so this is all new to me, but it seems like they're thriving, and we're going to have grapes possibly even next year. But you can see the affordable trellis that I built just with some T-posts and some electrical baling wire. But what you do with these grapes is you plant them the first year, you kind of let them grow. This has been such a voracious grower that I've had to trim this back at the end so it's not coming over the trail here in the garden. But this is one of my favorite features, and I'll take you by the next grapevine here in just a second. All right, so this area of the garden, we didn't necessarily go native, but I wanted an area to plant some tomato plants. I do every year here in the garden, and so this was the area that I picked. This is the new trellising method that I'm using for my garden. It's super, super easy. You can see here, it's just 2 T-posts, 1, 2, and then I just got some cheap twine here. And I think this is called the Carolina trellising method. But what you do is you just intertwine that trellis there as they grow taller to keep them upright. And this is going to be a great area. It's full sun, gets lots of airflow, and we're looking forward to some good tomatoes and not too long. All right, let's go this way. All right, so this is one of my milkweed plants, and you can actually see if you pan over that way, there's a little pollinator there. But this has actually grown really, really fast. I didn't expect it to be this big, and you can see how beautiful the flowers are. They actually have a sweet scent to them as well. So this is kind of the main native plant inspiration that I had when I was researching this project. This plant attracts monarch butterflies, which are absolutely beautiful. So I'm excited when those start coming around and the kids and the family and I can take a look. All right, let's meander this way. All right, this is probably my favorite part of the native garden. These are my trellises. So this is a really simple build, and if you are curious to see how I did it, you can reference some videos on my YouTube channel. But I took T-posts again, one of my favorite things ever, and got this trellis just at the local big box hardware store, and then used these. These are actually for chain link fences. And I used this just as additional support because it was a little flimsy the first time I built it. But this is for my grapes. So you can see here, grapes are voracious growers. It probably was only this tall when I planted it at the beginning of the year, and now we're almost curving over the trellis completely. So it was a dream of mine to have some sort of trellis with fruit or something hanging down. I've had that dream for a long time, and I'm glad I was able to realize it here in the garden. So let me show you the other trellis. All right, so this one, same exact build as the other, but this one we decided to go with a native flower. It's a yellow flute flower that's going to be growing. It's a perennial, and pretty much everything I grow in the garden is a perennial of some sort. But this is going to get all the way up to the top and have beautiful yellow flowers throughout the year. So really excited to see that. All right, last stop. All right, so very far in the distance, you can see the red and yellow bird feeders that I put in this year. The family and I, we watch from inside and we watch from the other side of the yard some of the birds that frequent. So we've seen things like sparrows, robins, woodpeckers, cardinals. And there's a video, again, referencing on my channel if you want to go check it out, where I show some pretty cool birds at the bird feeder in the morning. All All right, y'all, so we've meandered to the OG garden, the original garden when we bought the house and started planting things. And this has turned into our fruit and vegetable, I guess, herb garden as well. So follow me, I'll give you a quick tour of this side. So this is the newest plant. Again, this is kind of not perennial. Some of them are, some of them aren't, but this is butternut squash. I planted this literally a couple weeks ago. It was probably a foot long when I planted it, and it has grown several feet. So this trellis that I built for it is not going to be nearly big enough, but we are looking forward to having some butternut squash this fall. All right, so the next spot in the garden is the herbs. And if you want to take a look, the herbs are way overgrown. So all of these are perennials. I have some varieties of oregano in here. I have mint that's in here, which I planted without knowing it would take over my whole bed. And I have some other herbs that I don't even know really what they are. But this has been a pretty cool section of the garden where I'm able, while I'm cooking, come out, grab some oregano and incorporate into my meals. So, all right, let's move on to the next section. All right, so this is the strawberry patch. And if you are curious how to stop bugs from eating all your strawberries, again, I have a really thorough video on the channel. I would encourage you to reference that. This thing started from literally 4 or 5 plants. And if you know anything about strawberries, that they spread like crazy. And so this, I've just kind of let go every year, and it's filled up all of this section and more. So that's been really cool to see. Every springtime we start to see the strawberries come, and the kids and I come out and pick some and eat some fresh strawberries. There's nothing like it. All right, let's move on. Okay, so this is probably my favorite section of the fruit and vegetable side of the garden. This is my blackberries, and you can see it has grown like crazy. If you are curious about growing blackberries, make sure you have the space to do so. But the first year that I planted this about 3 years ago, everything died all the way to the ground. And the next year it came up, and these long shoots, kind of like what you're seeing here, came, and I was like, okay, and I still don't see any fruit. And then this year is the first year that we actually have fruit, these blackberries, which will be ready probably in a week or two, be black and ripe and ready to go. And so this has been really cool. There's a strategy to pruning these things. You have to know what a primocane and a floricane are and how these produce fruit. I just uploaded a video it was a couple days ago, explaining exactly how to summer prune a blackberry bush for optimal fruit production, as well as so it doesn't take over your whole garden. So if you're interested in that, check out the channel. All right, last section coming up here. All right, so the last section of the garden, got a few plants to show you. So we got blueberries. This blueberry bush, when I first planted it, was destroyed by my dog. So it's struggling, but it's doing okay. We also have lots of chipmunks here, and so every time we get like 2 or 3 blueberries, those are gone by the time they're probably sweet enough for the chipmunks. But that's all right. My family and I love hot peppers, and so this is the pepper section that I planted not too long ago. We have serranos, we have jalapenos, and then we have kind of a cool one there, which is called a trick you. Looks just like a jalapeno, but it's actually a sweet pepper. So that'll be fun to kind of dig into this year. And then lastly over here, we have a blueberry bush that I got from a big box store. It was on sale, so I threw it in the ground last year, and we'll see how it goes. So let's do a recap. We'll walk around. All right, y'all, so thanks so much for joining me on the garden tour. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I would encourage you all to subscribe to the channel if you want to see the progress on the garden, not only throughout this year, but even throughout next year. I have a lot of plans for this space. So if you are an urban gardener, if you live on an urban or suburban lot, this is only 0.25 acres. This is possible. So if you want to watch me as I kind of cultivate the land, my land, I encourage you to subscribe. But thanks so much for joining me. We'll talk very soon.